Hey everybody, welcome back to the GymCrafter training channel and my training vlog. I am Tim, the head training nerd here at the GymCrafter training channel, and this is Monday, February 9th, 2026, and I just finished week 4. So I want to check in with you guys. Happy Monday, everybody. A couple things about this week was I've talked about up till now, I've finished week 4 and I have not lost any weight yet. And I talked last week about asking my coach about it, and his response was that it's not a race and to trust the process. And I realized, and I can't believe I didn't realize it because as a trainer, I already know this at an intuitive level. But I realized why the scale wasn't moving. I realized why I just need to trust the coach that I hired. And the reason is I took progress pics. So I'm going to put these progress pics up for you guys to see. And on one side, you'll see my starting pics. And on the next side, you'll see my 30-day progress pics just after 30 days. And I would recommend that you take progress pics, and you'll see why when I talk about these pics today, because while the scale doesn't show any progress, the pictures do. So what's been happening is while I haven't lost any weight, I also haven't gained any weight. And I haven't been eating 4,000 calories a day. I've been eating probably 3,300 calories a day or so, and probably 240, 250 grams of protein. Eating that much and not gaining weight's actually a pretty good win for me. And what I realized is, as I looked, I'm like, wow, I actually have lost body fat. You can tell, like my belly's a little bit smaller and doesn't hang as low. The little fat rolls on my back are smaller. There's less of a crease between them. I don't like, wow, I do not like looking at these myself, nor do I like sharing them with you. So you're welcome, everybody. But the nice thing is that I realize that the scale isn't moving because right now, as my muscle memory is coming back and as I'm gaining stabilizer muscles and I'm gaining a little bit of muscle because of the amount of protein and calories that I'm eating, I'm trading that weight for body fat. Now, this is something that's very hard to do. It's not something that will happen to everybody, and it's not something you should make a goal of. I'm just very fortunate right now that for the last month, I've been able to be in a situation where I've lost some body fat and I've gained some muscle. Now, if all I was doing was looking at the scale, I would have been super frustrated. But having these progress pictures and also realizing that my pants are fitting better, that I'm feeling more mobile. There's lots of good things happening in my life right now that have nothing to do with that scale. So the big lesson today for everybody is do not judge your progress by the scale alone, especially at first. If you have successfully cut a bunch of calories out of what you were eating, remember we talked about the importance of tracking before you start so you know what you genuinely were eating before. If you were eating 3,000 calories a day before, and now you've spent the next month eating 2,500 or 2,750 or whatever it happens to be, if you've consistently eaten less than you were before, you are on a road to victory. Does that mean that you won't have to eat less? No, but it does mean that you are making positive changes and moving in a positive direction. If you haven't skipped any workouts, and I haven't skipped any workouts for a month now, if you've done all of your cardio, you've done all of your strength training and things like that, then what's going to happen is you are going to make progress, but sometimes that progress isn't going to show itself where you would like it to show itself. So an example I've heard many trainers use that I always get a kick out of is we can get you to lose 50 pounds overnight. I just got to cut off one of your legs. Right. So not all weight loss is healthy or beneficial or what we actually want. What we're after is fat loss. And I can't believe that I was frustrated over the last 2 weeks for not having my scale move when I tell clients all the time, stop looking at the scale. It may not move right now. Right. But anyway, so moral of that story, trust your coach. I'm actually really happy with the progress I've made over the last 30 days. This is the last week that I did in the training block. I've got another training block coming up. Another reason I really, really like training with a coach is that my training changes pretty rapidly. Typically, when you buy a program, which I definitely recommend, if you aren't working with a coach, then I would recommend buying a program. The resistance training program that I would recommend is something called MAPS Anabolic by the guys at the Mind Pump podcast. Check them out. That program will serve you really well for a very long period of time and will fit perfectly with what I'm talking about here on this vlog. At some point, I will have training playlists up and we'll do some training recommendations for you there. But if we're not at that point yet in the channel, check those out. That'll work really well for you. But the nice thing is we are progressing over time. Another nice thing is that the coach that I'm working with, his name is Dr. John Russin, one of the best coaches in the country. I've been working with him on and off for years and years and years and years. Behind me is this book, Pain-Free Performance. If you would like to follow the programming that I am actually doing from Coach Russin, Everything he knows is in that book. Now, it's a little bit of a dense book. It's a little bit of a large book, but it will have everything in there that you need to train for the rest of your life, pain-free, without having any issues. It's called Pain-Free Performance. I cannot recommend it enough. I'll put a link in the description for you guys to check it out. It's not a cheap book, but if you are a book person, that's a great way to go. And if you have that book, you'll be able to better understand what I'm talking about with what I'm doing with him. But one of the things I want to talk about is what are called movement pyramids. When you first get back into strength training or you first get into strength training for the first time, one of the big misses, and this is one of the big misses of that MAPS program I recommended, is they're like, okay, well, the first week you're going to start off with a barbell back squat. And it's like, no, we don't start with a barbell back squat. Not at all, ever, for any reason. Like, the barbell back squat's up here. We start down here. So what I started with the first month was I started with what are called split squats, where I'm holding dumbbells in my hands, one foot in front of the other, and doing squats that way. I was doing lunges where I was setting up and then stepping. I was doing reverse lunges. So you step back with weight in your hands, then touch your knee to the ground and then back up and then step back. And that's how I started. So that's my squat movement pattern days, were those movements. The coach doesn't have me doing that. He's also got me doing what are called goblet squats, which are holding a dumbbell right here and then squatting down to a box. They're called goblet box squats. And what this is this is part of what's called a movement pyramid. We have the king of the squat pattern, which is the barbell back squat, and we've got a ton of other exercises below that we start with. And this is one of the big mistakes I think a lot of coaches make, is they go, oh, well, everybody should squat. True, everybody should squat, but the only squat movement in their head is this barbell squat, and that's not the case. So if you're out there and you're new to strength training, I would highly recommend picking up this book, or just, I think you can find a lot of these movement pyramids just by Googling movement pyramids and finding one for squats and one for pushing and one for pulling, and starting at the exercises that are lower. Again, as I develop this channel, this training channel, I will have all of this laid out. I'm going to make a playlist about squats, and it will have not only how to squat, the biomechanics, how to do it. I'll coach you through it like I would coach a client. And then I will show you each of those movements in the pyramid, from the bottom to the top, moving up to the barbell back squat, and show you how you know it's okay to progress to the next level. So for me, what we're doing this next block is we're taking the box out from underneath me for goblet squats, and I'm squatting to a lower depth, and we're doing some rear foot and front foot elevated split squats. So instead of doing split squats with my feet on the ground, we're moving one foot up onto a platform about, 3-4 inches tall. And that changes the difficulty of the movement and will help me progress. The idea is, again, it's not a race. The idea is to progress safely, to build the movement pattern, to build all the stabilizer muscles, to build all the structure of my body that will allow me to eventually safely barbell back squat if we get to that point. Now, some clients of mine will never get to that point. Some of you will never get to that point. You may all just progress to the goblet squat point, and that's fine. But the cool thing about working with a coach, and why I wanted to recommend that book, is the smart way to train, especially if you're older, if you're over 40, 50, 60 years old. We don't want to jump in the gym like we're 20, right? Like when I was 20, jumping in the gym and throwing a bar on my back was fine. Like, you can recover from anything. You're full of more testosterone than somebody who takes anabolic steroids when they're a bodybuilder, right? Like, as a teenage boy, I could get away with a lot of stupidity, and I did. Why are teenage boys so stupid? But anyway, you can't do that now. I'm 55 years old. So another benefit of working with the coach is, if it was me, I would already be barbell back squatting, because that's what I used to do, right? Because my coach has watched my form, has looked at my strength, has looked at where my instabilities are. He's like, this is where we're starting. And we're going to, again, it's not a race. We're going to work on this for a month. And then next month, we're going to take another little baby step forward. So that's kind of interesting as far as just training and working with movement periods. And I wanted to share that with you guys, especially, like I said, I know a lot of you doing this with me here or following these videos are new to strength training. And these are things that most online coaches, most coaches at all, won't tell you, is to start with just body weight squats, right? If you can't do a body weight squat, then elevate your heels a little bit and try and do a body weight squat. Do a body weight squat with a chair next to you if you have to hold on to it. Like, you've got to start somewhere, But I think what happens is a lot of people go, well, I'm not going to weight train because I don't want to do X movement that they've got in their head that they've associated with lifting weights. And it's not at all that. So hopefully that little bit of rambling kind of helps some of you out. Again, as always, if you have questions, post them down in the comments. I am happy to help you guys out with this stuff. This is what I do for a living. So another thing that's cool this week is I started playing golf. So as I've said before, I play competitive disc golf, which means I rotate this way to my right to throw the disc. Well, that has caused some imbalances. Also, my life has been imbalanced. I work a lot. So running a full-time YouTube channel for a living is a ton of work. It's building the channel was solid 60, 70-hour work week. So I am to a point now where I can do something like this second channel that's not monetized to help you guys out. But I'm also to a point now where I have some time to go back and do some things that I love. So I started playing golf. I hired a coach because I think it's important. Anything in life that you want to get good at and not take forever to get good at, I think it's important to hire a coach. It's one of life's greatest hacks is you hire a coach to just shorten your learning curve tremendously. Now, I've played golf my whole life poorly. What I would like to do is to actually be able to have fun. So I'm playing golf and I joined a place that not only is where I can take the lessons, but I have 24/7 access to golf simulators so I can go hit balls whenever I want. So like when I'm done recording these videos, if I feel like heading over there to hit some balls, I can do that. Really cool, really awesome. Something that I wouldn't have even thought of doing a month ago. So even in 4 weeks, the state of my fitness has got me to the point where I'm like, I mentioned it in the day 0 video that I've been really fatigued. While I still take naps occasionally, I don't need them as much as I used to. My fatigue level is subsiding. My energy levels are going up. A lot of that is the zone 2 work that I've been doing. For those of you out there like myself who don't like the zone 2 work, where you have to find enjoyment and reward in that is in the other areas of your life that it shows results. And for me, that's being able to go throughout my day with a higher energy level. It's been really, really great. So, but I'm pretty happy about that. I'm starting to play golf again. Hopefully, it is February 9th. So hopefully I will be good enough by the time the spring comes to where I can go play. My brother's a single digit handicap. So I a very good golfer. And hopefully I can go play with him and not embarrass myself and we can go have fun because I do love spending time with my brother. So, and golf is his deal. That's his jam. That's what he does. He will not play disc golf. So if I want to go spend time with him, it's going to be on a golf course. But anyway, I don't know if you needed to know all that, but it is a vlog. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what's going on in life. Challenges and wins this week. So challenges. One challenge is the initial motivation and excitement are gone. So anytime you start a program like this, anytime you start doing something like this, there's always those first few weeks where you're like gung ho. You're like, I'm going to eat 1 carrot every day and I'm going to jog 17 miles every day and I'm going to wake up ready to go. And you do, right? Like you wake up for that first week, maybe the first 2 weeks you're ready to go. And so yeah, all that is gone. So now we're in what I call into the grind. It is into the you just got to do some things because it's just what you got to do. I don't love taking a shower every day, but I take a shower every day because I have to. I don't love doing laundry, but I do laundry when I have dirty. There's just some things in life that you have to do. So I like lifting weights. I like going to the dog park with my dogs. I just don't like pushing myself for 45 minutes at the heart rate that I've been doing. So that's been one challenge this week, to be real honest, is that I'm getting to the point where it's like, I don't know that I want to keep doing it. So I do want to keep doing it. And I'll talk about that in the win section. And I'll talk about how to address that here in just a second. Another one is food prep continues to be a challenge. Taking time on a Sunday or a Monday to do the food prep, it's a couple hours of cooking. And I don't like cooking, right? Like I like quick meals. And this is stuff you actually have to cook in larger quantities. There's cleanup involved. I am not a fan. So that has been a challenge. So what I did find is I did find this brand of dinners called Kevin's. I don't know if you've heard of them before, and they're a little bit different. So I tried all 7 different types they had at my grocery store, and I found a couple that I liked. Basically what it is, it's a package of meat that's been cooked via what's called sous vide. So there's really good quality steak, really good quality chicken that's cooked. And then there's a packet of sauce. And what you do is you take the meat out, you put it in a pan, you fry it up till it's browned, super quick and easy. And then take the sauce and you put it over it. And for me, I have a rice cooker. It's one of my favorite appliances. You throw some rice in there, some water, some olive oil, and some salt, stir it up, and 45 minutes later, you have a cup of cooked rice. Awesome. So what I've been doing instead of prepping is I've just been cooking the rice. You could do pasta as well, and then doing this Kevin's thing. That doesn't help me on those nights where I get home late. However, basketball is over. So our season ended, and so I don't have to worry about the late nights anymore. I take that back. We've got 2 more games. So I don't have to really worry about that too much. So I'm still going to continue to meal prep, but what I can do is I can keep a bunch of these Kevin's things in the freezer. And then that way, if I run out of meal preps or things like that, it's a pretty good macro meal, eating the whole thing, which I think is meant for 2.5 people. I'll eat the whole thing, and then some rice or some protein pasta. That makes a good meal. So that's been nice, but food prep is still a challenge. So, but I did find that as kind of a stopgap that is kind of between cooking and food prep that's a little bit easier. Another challenge this week has been my sleep. So for me, the key isn't getting up because I have to get up to take my dogs to the dog park so I can get to church on time. So the up part is a non-negotiable for me. For those of you who have jobs that you have to be at a certain time, you understand that it's like you can't oversleep, right? However, the going to bed at a reasonable time, and for me, it's been scrolling. Like I really try not to get involved in. I don't do Facebook. I don't do TikTok. I've never even loaded the app, let alone looked at TikTok. But I do Instagram and I do YouTube. So I do end up just getting sucked into these scrolling loops, and I look up and it's midnight and then I don't get enough sleep. So that's been a challenge. So what I've been trying to do is just making a commitment. I like to read. So what I've been doing is getting in bed at 9 or 9:30, reading for half an hour. And then typically what they say, psychologists will tell you that reading fiction at night helps you sleep. And I found that to be true. Reading nonfiction, not so much. I enjoy reading nonfiction, but it gets your brain working on stuff. And then it keeps, at least for me, it keeps me up. And that's what they say, that they say that it does. So I found that reading fiction really helps. And so reading a half hour or so in bed, laying down, definitely calms me down enough to go to sleep. I just need to have the self-discipline to put the phone down, and sleep is huge, guys. Without good sleep, nothing else matters. You will not lose weight if you're not sleeping. You just won't. Your body hangs onto the weight because it goes into fight or flight mode, and it just will not drop the calories, or it will not burn the calories like you normally would. So those have been the challenges. As far as wins go, there's a few. Number one, so one of the biggest keys to doing this successfully is to have a compelling why. Now, on my GymCrafter YouTube channel, where I help people build home gyms, I talked a lot about something I called Project Calvin. Project Calvin. Calvin is my nephew. He's 7 years old, and I want to be able to dunk on Calvin when he's in junior high and high school. I love, as a high school basketball coach, I love playing full court basketball with those guys. I love being able to hang with those kids, and I've realized that I may not be in a good enough shape to actually do that with my nephew. And it's far more important for me to do that with my nephew than it is to do it with anybody else. So that for a while was my motivation. But what I realized is Calvin's not my kid. So while I would love to be able to do it with my nephew, what I found is that when I looked deep inside, that wasn't necessarily motivating me enough. It's something that's part of my motivation, but really what I realized is that as I work with the kids in their last week of high school basketball, and the seniors go off, and we welcome the freshmen back in for the next year. And as I do a lot of volunteer work at the school at my church, and I do a lot of volunteer work at a center down the road from the church, and just things that I do. I'm a handyman for a couple of those places. What I realize is that as I've grown older, that I don't want to be the guy who retires and watches Netflix, right? Like that's not what I want to do. No knock if that's you. That's not me. I want to be able to play disc golf when I'm 80. I want to be able to go play golf and actually carry my bag when I'm in my 70s. I want to be able to, when Calvin is 16, 10 years from now, I want to be able to pick up basketball with him. I want to be able to go do those things and be a functional older person. And over the last week, I've started really thinking about what life would be like if I couldn't do those things. And something that is important, and something that I talked about with my coach when I first started, is at some point in our lives, we hit this crossroads. And the crossroads is now when you're younger, it's not the same crossroads. Like when I've gotten out of shape when I'm younger, it's like, yeah, I can get back in shape. I'm only in my 30s, no problem. I'm only in my 20s, it's no problem. Even in my 40s, it was like, yeah, I'm fat and out of shape again, but yeah, it's no big deal. I can definitely. There comes a point, and it comes at different points for different people, where in shape and out of shape really start to diverge to a point where going from out of shape to in shape becomes almost impossible. Not that you can't ever, you can always get in better shape than you're in, but if you want to be all the way over here, if you want to be fully capable, there comes a point in your life where you can't let yourself slide anymore. It's just not an optional thing. And one of the things that has been a benefit to me of at least doing the strength training my whole life, and again, talked to my coach about this quite a bit, is that strength training has kept my body in a condition that allows me to really get to my full potential right now, even at 55. And some people aren't that lucky, right? Some people haven't done anything and they're just now trying to start. And please don't let that discourage you. There's no reason to continue to go down that left-hand path. You always want to try and go as far down the right-hand path as you can. But as far as my own personal motivation, my own personal why, since I don't have kids, since I'm probably not going to have grandkids because of that, like most of you out there who are parents, your why is your kids, right? Your why is you want to be able to play pickup basketball with your son. You want to be able to go in the backyard and play volleyball with, like my nieces play volleyball. You want to be able to go play volleyball with your daughters. You want to be able to go on family trips. You want to be able to bend down and pick up your grandkids and lift them up over your head. Like I'm never going to be able to do that, unfortunately. But for me, I had to find a different why. And for me, that's living a life of service to others. It's living a life where I can help other people. And in order to help other people effectively, I need to be physically capable to do that. So I had a pretty big epiphany this week about this is kind of the thing that's driving me, and the thing that when I do get discouraged, when it does become a grind, when I'm not losing the weight that I want, when my strength isn't going up how I want, when it's hard to not go through the drive-through, to be able to get back to that why and to really think about, okay, is this helping you go further down that right-hand path or that left-hand path? Because I'm at that crossroads, right? Like I don't have the ability to be like, screw it, I'll get to it next year. Like there is no at 55, there is no, I'll just wait till next year. I've got to continue to do this now. So that was a really big win for me because it made a lot of the challenges that I've been facing a little bit easier. Another win this week was just doing the zone 2. The zone 2, it took a month, is now just a thing that I do. When we go to the dog park, I no longer go, I wish I could go on my little lollygag stroll around the dog park. Now when we go to the dog park, we're there to do zone 2. The dogs know which way we're going. They know what pace we're going at. I know what I'm doing. I start my little workout thing on my watch and I go and I look at my heart rate, and it's become a habit. And that's a huge win, guys. That is a huge win. For some of the things that you don't want to do, like tracking your food is one that's going to be for a lot of you. When it becomes a habit, when it becomes just a thing that you do and it's just automatic, man, that is a huge win. So if you've got any of those things at this point that are happening for you, congratulations. That is a step you want to get to. And that's a step I got to this week with my zone 2. And that also goes into consistency. Like my consistency has been really good over the last month. Consistency is what creates results. That's it. That's why we're never going to talk about cheat days, right? Like we want to build a life that we can enjoy. If we have a cheat day, that implies that we don't enjoy the rest of our life. And we want to enjoy the whole thing. We want to find a way to enjoy the whole thing. We want to find a way to enjoy our nutrition, to enjoy our training, to enjoy our workouts and all that kind of stuff, so that we don't need to cheat on that. It's enjoyable all along. And consistency is what creates results. Cheat days flush all your results down the toilet. So I'll give you just a quick example. 3,500 calories equals about 1 pound of body fat. So if you can eat 3,500 calories less in a week than your body needs for maintenance, you will lose a pound. Well, what happens to a lot of people is they go on these diets and they go on these calorie cutting expeditions and they cut their calories all week and they cut out 3,500 calories, which is a lot. It's like 500 calories a day less than and you're hungry, and that takes a lot of work. And then on the weekend, you're like, pizza and beer cheat day, baby. And you eat 5,000 calories of pizza and beer, which is super easy to do, especially if you live here in Chicago and you like the deep dish pizza. Man, it's so easy to do. I can go to Lou Malnati's and eat an entire pizza on my own. And that's a lot of calories, right? That just flushed all of your work down the toilet. So consistency is probably one of the single biggest keys to success in this whole thing. And for me, over the last month, consistency is good. And then the last thing is the progress pics. Like for me, that was a win. Actually taking the pictures and seeing, okay, you are progressing. The scale weight doesn't show it, but your pictures show that you are progressing. And that was a huge win for me. So that's where I'm at after week 4. Happy Monday, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. As usual, if you have questions, drop them down in the comments. I am happy to answer them for you. And until the next Monday check-in or whatever other update video I choose to do, thanks for joining. I'm Tim with GymCrafter Training Channel.